amazing on this latest pain at the pump.
President Obama has done all that he can to make it harder for us to use our own energy.
One promise he kept was with regard to energy. He said if he's elected president and his policies get put in place, the cost of energy would skyrocket. That's what he's kept.
Well, it certainly beats being on defense on Medicare, right? And if political watcher Sabrina Schaeffer is right, it is going to be a far bigger issue this fall. Well, Democrats say just otherwise, Sabrina, that this Medicare thing and Republicans wanting to wreck entitlements, you've heard it all before, is going to be the defining issue. You think this energy thing could pop back to the top of the hit parade, huh?
Yeah, I absolutely think that energy policy is such a critical component of getting our economic engine started again that it can't be really separated from job creation and economic growth. And the big thing is I'm just glad that both campaigns are talking about energy policy rather than, let's say, birth control.
Well, there is that. You know, these issues come and go, and I think, you know, for a while when we were seeing the gas prices ease after a spring run-up, then the talk was how low did they go, and now we're back to how high did they go. So they could go any which way before the election. But I do think that if you get to a $4 level and stick above that, you're talking about Americans who have to make serious adjustments, and many are and have this summer driving season. Then what's the fallout?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, they do go up and down, but right now they're not trending in the right direction. Let's just, you know, to put this in perspective, since the beginning of July, prices have gone up by 10% nationally. In some of the key swing states like Michigan and Ohio, we're seeing dramatic increases from just a year ago. So I think that this is a critical issue. It's also an issue that really resonates with a lot of women. That's been the topic. You know, we're really focused. Both campaigns are very much focused on women these days, and women feel it. And you don't just feel it at the pump. All of these increases in energy costs translate to goods and most specifically to food. And look, I'm a mother of 3 young children. We're all on tight budgets. We all feel it when we go to the grocery store and find out that a gallon of milk is $1 higher than it was, you know, a year before.
Why isn't that part? And I agree with that. I know you can be a male or female on this issue. Well, why hasn't that been reflected in a lot of polls? Obviously, concern about food prices, as you said, far more directly than I could, that is a real pressing, ongoing concern. But it has not hurt the president to the degree you might think. Why not?
Well, I think part of it is there are a lot of issues. I think people don't necessarily connect the dots between high energy prices and job creation. But the fact is when it costs factories more money to produce goods and services, they have to cut in other places. And so all of these things are intricately connected. And I think that it's up to the candidates to try to make that case as well as they can.
You talked about women. You know the female vote very, very closely. And I've always heard there's a dichotomy between married women versus single women. Married women, I guess the understanding is like you, young moms, you know, they're very attuned to the prices and buying for the family and all that. So they're the ones running even as far as preference for Mitt Romney or Barack Obama. Single women, by and large, in fact, overwhelmingly prefer the president. Why is that?
Well, it's interesting. Single women do trend tremendously more Democratic. However, as Celinda Lake, a Democratic pollster, showed us after the 2010 midterm elections, they actually weren't showing up. They weren't going out to vote. They are much more apathetic. Something about being married very often will drive you to the voting booth more. So I think that's why we're seeing sort of Sandra Fluke being brought out to the podium, and we're talking a lot about birth control rather than energy policy. But I think that that's really insulting for so many young women who are succeeding educationally and professionally. They care about energy policy just as much as married women do.
But there is a gender gap, is there not? Not all polls, but the ones that I've seen, and you know this stuff better than I do, Sabrina, but that men by and large favor Mitt Romney, women by and large favor the president, and that's the reality. Do you think that stays the case through November?
I think that there is a gender gap, but I think that the Democrats are making the mistake of trying to court women on traditional women's issues rather than talking to women about the same issues that they talk to men about. Because the fact is we all care about economic growth, we all care about job creation, we all care about bringing down energy costs and health care costs. And I think that ultimately that's going to backfire if they try to use the war on women and try to talk to women about simply their reproductive tract.
You know, that's very interesting. You can risk being very patronizing doing that. Not you, our campaign strategy. On that. Sabrina, thank you very much.